All right, y'all. So I don't know if I want to call this an addendum or whatever. I've been kind of mixing some of my stuff up and whatnot, But I think one thing, I'm going to take some constructive criticism. Some of my stories, my edits, I think I'm going to start doing a lot more editing. But that don't take time. Like I said, I posted in the community board. It takes me 2 hours to edit, because when I'm making the videos, remember, I'm using ChatGPT and Sora and all of this stuff in conjunction with each other. So I gotta recreate the images and recreate the videos and all that just to get y'all like how I want it to look. And it's gonna be as close as it can. Sometimes it'll give me audio that I don't want. Sometimes you might see somebody ugly and you be like, man, where did they come in the equation? But the AI, it sometimes works like that. You know what I'm saying? It works differently. So, you just gotta, just kind of keep that in mind. And it is a busy ass damn day today. I don't know why it's so damn busy over here. It is Friday. I'm tripping. So, it takes me about 2 hours. Then I gotta pick the music, and it's a lot. It's a lot to just kind of give y'all one video. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if they high or what's going on with this character here. Well, this neighborhood's starting to change a little bit. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Starting to change, man. I don't know if it's for the best. So, drawing a damn blank. So, yeah, it's gonna take me about 2 hours per video to really give y'all what and I've given y'all a good bulk of characters, because like I say, as I start getting into my later 20s and stuff like that, and my career starts to surge, I would say, you're not gonna see as many characters. You're probably gonna see a little bit more professional characters. You're probably going to see that, because I personally think that the adventures of DP, the nucleus and the fabric of it, is the most important between those years of 1996, 1997 to 2010. I really think that's where the story is. So if we could go back real quick to the shop, because there's gonna be bits and pieces, because that was a huge part of my life, and like I say, it's a very, very extremely emotional part of those years, of those 24 months. So let's kind of go back to the shop so you could kind of see as to why, as the homie D, when he was kind of hooking me up with folks, or because like I say, I didn't know them that much. I didn't know these women that much, but it's not like I didn't trust the homie. It's just that usually when I would be up in the shop, and keep in mind, this was a time where I was driving, so I'm able to kind of move around and go to different other places and stuff like that. I used to go to this place in Eagan. I used to bring people to this place in Eagan, because when I stopped selling a lot of the desktops myself, I would just bring people there and then they pay me. You know what I'm saying? So they throw me some, I might have some mixtapes and some movies or something, and then they might want to get a computer. They're like, hey man, pay me, I'll pay you to bring me out to Micro Center, or I'll pay you, and I would talk on behalf of the people because they didn't know what they were buying. So that's another hustle that I had, I forgot to tell y'all about. People would pay me to go out. There was actually there was a brother in Hastings, and this might have been before the shop, but it was probably with them 24 months. And I would go out and I would go to certain places, and they might have a piece of hardware, or they might, sometimes I got tired of carrying hardware. So, and I would get it a lot. I would get it a lot. Yeah, you know, my hands would be on it all the time because people would, like I say, they bring their computers to me and they don't fix them or they can't pay or whatever the case may be. So sometimes what they do is they might have another desktop that they bring and say, hey, fix both of these and you could keep that one. I'm like, all right. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we would do deals and stuff like that. So I do that all day. I'd just be sitting in there. And I want y'all to know, this was a beautiful, beautiful hustle, because this was around the time where people with their smartphones wasn't around. When the smartphones came out, that really, really messed up a lot of the desktop, laptop repair to a certain degree. Y'all are going to see on some of these Raven stories. I love the Raven story, man. That character was a great, I think that's one of my best characters. You know, but like I say, she was a real person. We just didn't get to, as y'all know, we didn't get to know each other like I should have. You know, and like I say, very much so after, you know, I didn't go to that party and I didn't really follow up or whatever. But see, this is why. I felt like I had so much to do and there was so much going on. In fact, it was so much going on, I can't really remember everything that was going on back to back. I'm just trying to give you the dates I figure within these 24 months. But most of it was kind of surrounded between, because see, remember, I got my car crash in 08, August. Then I got another car crash in March. That might have kind of jogged some memory a little bit too. You never know. But I think that was, or April. I think it was April I got into the car crash. We had just opened the shop. I was on my way to go open up the shop, and we were just at the very, very beginning. We didn't really have a big customer base. And there was a lot of black folks around there that was happy in the neighborhood, that was happy that we opened up the store. So this was my daily ritual. I get up. I wasn't drinking a lot of coffee back then. I don't know if I was even drinking a lot of water. I probably was. But I would get up early in the morning, make mixtapes, get the computers together, whatever, get it all set up, you know, check the orders. I might wake up at like 5, 6 in the morning. I might wake up at 6 in the morning. I may be sitting up at the crib. You know, I'll roll me up some King Cobra real quick. You know what I'm saying? I'll roll something up. Like I said, by that time when I had the shop, I sold the Bonneville. And basically, you know, we decided to open up the store. So it probably was like February when we were looking for buildings online and emailing, and we found Craigslist. So we opened that up, or we emailed the guy. I met the guy, I talked to him, signed a commercial lease, and then Jay went and bought a countertop. You know what I'm saying? And so then we decided, like, okay, we're going to get some shoes and stuff, because we didn't really have a lot of money. We just started what we had. We bought incense in there. We threw some mixtapes up in there. And I don't even think we had a lot of clothes. I wish I would have took some pictures to show how empty the shop was. And, you know, it took a long time for us to fill it up. It took almost it took over 6 months for us to really get. And there was a one point where we ran out of Air Force Ones and didn't re-up in time, and people kept coming back, man. And like I say, we could have sold them shoes until our wheels fell off. But, you know, we didn't make a good business decision on that. I think I don't know what happened, but we didn't. I think we ordered from a place and they didn't show up with the shoes or something like that. We had like a $500 order or something like that. Like, you know, so, you know, and around that time, what I probably should have did, and I always say this, is I probably should have just went and got a part-time, or, I mean, I could have got a full-time, but that takes up my whole damn day. You know what I'm saying? And then I could have just invested that money right in the shop. But I elected to basically hustle, and then, you know, we let the shop pay the bills, and then, you know, because the computer repair was probably the biggest thing for us to pay the bills. So I'm taking this situation very, very serious. My homie Jay, he's going out sometimes. He going downtown, and if he goes out, man, he's handing out flyers. So bro was really, really good at marketing. He would start bringing people in and stuff like that. So we had a decent footprint for somebody that we didn't have no radio play. This was just straight off the street with it. You know what I'm saying? He'd be handing out flyers. He'd be standing outside handing out flyers as females walking past. You know, the women are going to spend some money if you got something they like. So, you know, and for the most part, I think we treated the community pretty good. You know what I'm saying? We didn't talk down to the customers. I remember at one point in time, we made a decision that our customer service wasn't up to par. You know what I'm saying? Because people kind of walk in sometimes, and you know, we just kind of let them just kind of walk around and do they shopping. So we all decided like that our customer service wasn't up to par. So what we decided to do was we said, well, anytime somebody comes in here, we gonna come from behind the counter, we gonna greet them, we gonna, you know, tell them we got this, we gonna sell. You know, because sometimes we get sitting there and then people just kind of walking around. So, you know, but we realized that very early. We found that out. We kind of like checked ourselves like, okay, let's raise our customer service. And we did that. And it helped and it worked. We decided to slash prices with the computer repair. So in my mind, the shop was almost like my baby. It was something that I nurtured. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't have the capital to really bring it even further, because we were talking about actually expanding and getting several other stores and duplicating what we had. And I probably would have never went back to work into the corporate field. I'm gonna be honest. I would have had no interest to be sitting up there downtown with people that don't want to wash their hands and talking crazy and talking shit. And you know, like I say, I don't come from their world. I don't come from their world. So I don't understand that little slick stuff that they do and they say and the way they, you know what I'm saying, dealing with race soldiers every day to get your daily bread. I never liked it. It wasn't something that I necessarily enjoyed. I would have rather been working for myself. You see what I'm saying? And you know, so I tried it, and you know, it worked for the time being, but I took it extremely serious. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, when I used to meet females and stuff, they had to understand that the shop comes first. You know what I'm saying? It's just that I wasn't able to really polish my vision as much as, you know, because I just didn't know. We didn't know. We didn't really know. We didn't know what we knew. You know, we were just figuring it out. So, now, like I was saying before, creating the Raven storyline and creating the Raven comic book, the shop itself has quite a few characters that I could kind of throw around. But now, what I could tell you about the new Raven series that I'm considering putting together, she's probably not really gonna fit in the shop real heavy, because around that time, like I said, I never brought her there. I never brought her there. And that's why I was trying to really get the timeline together. I was really trying to get the timeline together, man, and figure out exactly what month that was. Because see, if we would have been continued to talk, I know for a fact we would have been up in that shop. But I just don't recall. I don't recall being around with the 83. I remember it being warm outside. So it could have been in 08. It could have been in 07. But I just don't think it was in 08. But I could have had, but I just remember the Oldsmobile being on Chicago and Lake. I don't really remember the Dodge Spirit being on Chicago and Lake. It's possible. It's very possible, but I remember the Oldsmobile. But what I do know is around that time on Chicago and Lake, I remember my homie D still being up. He was really up in 07. Like he was up. Like he was really doing this thing in, you know, in 07. And in 08, you know, I think he was doing all right. And in 09, I started seeing the decline. Now I know for a fact I had the red Olds then. You know, I know for a fact I had them Oldsmobiles, because I had several Oldsmobiles that year. You know what I'm saying? So I know for a fact. I know for a fact that it was around that time. So, and I think towards the end of 09, and maybe and definitely the beginning of 2010, I also seen some of the declines and stuff. But because I remember I was still doing my thing at the house. I was still, you know, making my mixtapes and making my movies and fixing hella computers around that time too, at the very beginning of 2010. And now at one point, I keenly remember, And I'm not sure, that might have been 09 as well. It could have been 08, but I keenly remember around, I think 09 or early 2010, the discussion with him was kind of like, okay, I want to get serious. I want to get myself together or whatever like that. But now that probably happened before, like he was basically like, okay, you know, I just want to be a one woman man. I just want to, you know what I'm saying? So he cut off. So that probably might have been around late 09 or probably 010, early 010, because when we kind of fell out, that was when it was warmer outside, I think. So it could have been April 2010 or something like that, or May, or, you know, but I remember those times, because I started putting my resume out there. I closed the shop in March 2010 with my homies. So, you know, everybody was just trying to figure things out or whatnot. But yeah, so just a little update, man, and we gonna keep it going.